Of course, the GDP figures will form most of our conversations for today. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday last week signed into law an executive order for the implementation of financial autonomy for state legislature and judiciary. The implementation of financial autonomy of the state legislature and judiciary is expected to strengthen the institutions at the subnational level and make them more independent as well as accountable. To bring all of this into perspective as the economy looks set to contract further is the managing partner with Trans-Sahara Investments, Winston Osuchukwu. Good morning, Mr. Osuchukwu. Thanks for coming on the program. Well, let's begin with the GDP numbers which have just been released. Of course, it shows a weak economic growth and a possible recession. What's your take on the entire growth numbers?
Good morning. Well, like you said, it is anemic growth for a country like Nigeria, and unfortunately, these numbers do not show the full effect of the coronavirus lockdown. Those numbers won't show up until Q2. And based on what has happened in Q1, the only thing we can hope for, and this is sad to say, is that the economy is not as productive as we thought, because that way we won't see as large a fall as one will expect.
Well, you operate in the real estate sector. Of course, that sector contracted by minus 4.75% in 2020 compared to 3.45% in Q1 2019. Could the real estate sector have performed any better?
No, there's no way the real estate sector could have done any better. What you will find now is there is going to be a complete rethink on how we use space. A lot of companies most companies are not going to operate the same way they operated pre-COVID. So what we're going to see is we're going to see increased vacancy rates in commercial properties, and that is definitely going to make a lot more projects unbankable, and that will continue to slow down any growth we will have expected from the real estate sector. So I expect that this sector to remain challenged until we get fully acclimatized to what the new normal is, and we start to build facilities that are more in tune with that.
And how do you think, what suggestions do you actually have talking about adjusting to the new normal?
Well, adjusting to the new normal, we're going to have to design our buildings a little bit differently. We're going to have to increase the amount of space we have in things like the restrooms. And given that most likely this coronavirus is going to be with us for a long, long time, we're going to see that offices are going to have to be a little bit more spread out. There's going to be a lot more money spent on connectivity infrastructure, as more and more people will continue to work outside the office than inside the office. And for a lot of people, coming into the office would just be to meet for meetings and things like that. So office designs would be less individual offices and probably more conference rooms. But these are one of those things that we can't tell until we get to the other side of it.
Now, let's look at the other issue that has to do with corporate governance and accountability. The president on Friday signed an executive order granting financial autonomy to state legislature and judiciary. Your sector, which is the real estate, oftentimes serves as collateral for most bank loans and ends up with a lot of litigation in courts, which end up taking too long to resolve. But do you think that the granting of financial autonomy to the judiciary will go a long way in solving the problem of the real estate as well as other sectors of the economy?
I think granting financial autonomy to the judiciary is something that's very important. It should technically, in theory at least, give them full independence to do what they need to do. It will allow them to deploy their budgets in ways that will make them more efficient, and hopefully bring the legal system up to the 21st century. I do hope that the leadership in the judiciary take the time to spend to allocate a lot more money from their budget to building capacity. And this goes across not just the judiciary, but to everybody that's being given financial autonomy. It's one thing to have the people, but it's the other thing to have people who have the general ability to execute to execute appropriately and judicially use the budgets that they've now been control of.
An executive order is usually a temporary rule. It needs to be passed into law for it to be institutionalized and have a long-time effect. Do you see the National Assembly expediting the passage of this into law?
Well, usually when most presidents use an executive order as an opening gambit, and they tend to get close to what they want, because at that point in time, they have, if you look at it, they have a little bit of leverage in their negotiations with the National Assembly. And given that it's the National Assembly that has to pass it, there is a good chance that they get it done quickly.
Many thanks. Managing Partner with Trans-Sahara Investments, Winston Osuchukwu. Thanks for speaking with us this morning.